Hello, and welcome to the Business and Pleasure podcast, the show that discusses what it's really like to be a digital nomad. We talk about the ups and the downs, the lessons learned, and the big discussion about whether you can really have it all. Today, we're chatting with Leon Cheung. Leon is relatively new to the digital nomad life, but he's absolutely smashing it. He is a corporate operations coordinator and works for Modulex Group. I met Leon in Brazil and we really hit it off. And we've stayed in touch ever since. Welcome to the show, Leon.
Hi, thanks for having me, Liz. I'm really happy to be doing this. I'm excited to share my story and get into the juicy gossip.
Definitely. Yes, we've got a lot to get into. So let's start from the very beginning.
Okay.
How did your digital nomad lifestyle begin and how long have you been a digital nomad for?
Yeah, I think it started off me graduating last year, and I graduated July 2022. And I think at that point I was a bit like, what do I want? Do I want to go into the office? Do I want hybrid? Do I want to stay in the UK? I actually nearly moved down to London for a graduate scheme, but I just knew it wasn't for me. Like, I love London to like visit, but not to work and live. As you can imagine, the cost of living, many factors. And then I really wanted the remote work. So I kept searching and it was a bit difficult. You know what the market was like. People were getting laid off by big tech companies.
Yeah.
It was very challenging. A lot of graduate schemes was really competitive. So I took a while to reflect and I was grateful that I moved back to my mom and dad's house, just reflect. And then, it wasn't going anywhere. Booked a one-way ticket on the 28th of December, telling my family, like, I'm just going to figure out, I'm going to see Javier, my boyfriend, who's Mexican. And then, I was still like job searching. I was happier being with Javier and I managed to land a job in Mexico back in January. So like I had two positions. So I had one for Forbes, which was crazy. That was an internship, remote. And then I got a position with Modulex Group as an operations coordinator. But I decided to pick them because the interview went well. I got along with the two managers and don't regret it at all. So started off at January 2023. And if anyone wanted to like go in this, I highly recommend do your research. Research is so important. But I managed to land my job in LinkedIn. So started off there.
That's amazing. You said that you started off and you sort of just took that leap of faith. You didn't have anything lined up. You were just going for it. You had that one-way ticket booked. Why do you think you sort of approached it like that you sort of just threw yourself into it? I've spoken to lots of digital nomads and sort of the way they begin, they're very almost like slow and steady with it. They're making sure it's all planned out. Whereas me, I was the complete opposite. I, again, sort of threw myself into it and hoped for the best. Why did you think that throwing yourself into it and sort of hoping it would work out worked best for you?
You just have to have a leap of faith. Like, life is short.
Yeah.
I think UK, it was winter. It was miserable. I was like going through like low moods, high moods. You can imagine into being like a bit lost after university. And I just wanted to change. Like, I think change was so necessary. And I just booked a one-way ticket. Like, I would highly recommend everyone to have a bit of savings. So savings and support. So I had a bit of savings. I was like, okay, I can do this. I'll just figure it out. And that's what I did. And you just have to manifest it. Like, you know what I'm like, you just have to manifest, plan your goals for 2023. I sat down in a coffee shop, took multiple hours, have like a vision board, have some goals that you want to achieve within that year. And it'll happen. And for me, it did. Yeah, it did.
And was being a digital nomad something that you envisioned for yourself? Was the aim always to find something where you could work and travel?
Yes, I find the pandemic really changed my perspective when we had to go in person to remove remotely. It wasn't for everyone. For me, I loved it. Like the flexibility, I'm quite disciplined. So in that way, like it was quite easy for me. And then one of my best friends, she's a digital nomad. She had her own company. Now she's working for like a startup company and she would work in traveling around Europe. So I was really intrigued by her lifestyle, and I'm like, I want that. And obviously it's not normalized, but it's getting there. Like, you get me? It's
Yeah.
getting there for sure. Like, I think everyone's at least hybrids, but yeah, I've always envisioned it. And now I'm in the digital nomad lifestyle. I love it. I don't see myself going back into the office or
Yeah.
ever doing it. Ever doing it. Yeah.
You don't need
Yeah.
an office. It's
Yeah.
fine. I think that's amazing though, that like it's your first experience working after uni and you've fallen into being a digital nomad. That's amazing. It's all sort of, like you said, with COVID happening, it changed a lot of people's perspectives after being locked in for so long and then having the opportunity to get out there again. I think that's a good thing that you just went for it. And when you're starting your digital nomad, when you're slightly younger, you can sort of just go for it and take that leap of faith because you don't really have that many responsibilities or things tying you down at that point. So you can really sort of just see what happens, which I think is really exciting. And it's just such a great side of being a digital nomad. It can be risky, but it can be like the best thing ever as well. I think that's brilliant. And how did you navigate that change in lifestyle to you were in uni, you had just wrapped up uni, and obviously uni is very structured. And sometimes when you go down that digital nomad route, you routine can go out the window. Was it a big change in lifestyle for you, or did you feel like you sort of picked up the lifestyle quite quickly and it wasn't that big of a change?
For me, like, routine is key. Like, I love like routine. People think a lot
Yeah.
of my friends and family think I'm a bit like crazy because like I time block everything. So it wasn't,
Yes.
yeah, time blocking them
Loved.
like so. I always time block. I did it through high school, university. Went from like a diary, like writing pen and paper, now moving on to more digital. But the routine, like obviously there's been times like your routine, you lose your routine during travels, and that's normal. You're meeting people, you're eating a bit not unhealthy, but a bit more like not the type of foods you're used to eating. But I think you get back onto it. Like, it's not forever into it. And if you do lose your routine, just get back on the game. But yeah, the routine was fine for me. Like, I really immersed myself and just did it and like treated the place like being a local. So like where my rule is, I was doing like slow traveling. So my rule was like 2 weeks each place. So 2 weeks was a good amount because if I couldn't do everything in the first week, I had the second week to do. And just going, I still maintained like going to the gym, cooking, meeting people, doing my routines, like the stuff I want. So you kind of have to be
Yeah.
selfish in a way, like do the stuff that makes you happy. And yeah, it worked out fine.
Well, I think as well, that's so true. Like in Brazil, you were still finding the gyms, you were cooking, and you were so good at sticking to that. And it also helps have a sense of like normalcy as well. Like you've got your routine, you know what works and what doesn't work. And I think sometimes I'm really good with a routine, and then sometimes it's like out the window, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I want to go do this, do this, do this. And I think, yeah, it's really important to have a routine, but also it's important to not beat yourself up too much if, you have a week and it does go out the window a little bit because you've moved to this new place and you're figuring it out. But yeah, I think that's a really important thing and something that you seem to do really well. But it sounds like you learn early on. So like you said, school through to uni, what worked for you. So time blocking works a dream for you. That's great that you've realized that early on. So when other factors are changing, you've sort of got that constant.
Yeah. No, like the time blocks are lifesaver. Obviously,
Really is.
time change obviously can be a big factor. I think from coming from Mexico to Brazil, I think I needed like the first week to like digest to the time zone because the flight from Mexico to Brazil is 10 hours. 10 hours. I know you're like,
You
what?
wouldn't think
You
that.
think it's round the block, but no, that's like back to
Oh my
UK.
gosh.
So it takes
Yeah,
10
was it?
hours. So yeah, like I flew from Mexico to Panama, Panama to Brazil. So my time clock, my body was getting adjusted to the first week. So Rio, the first time when I went to Rio was like, I only had a week there. That's why at the end I went back because I loved it so much. And I feel like I didn't have enough because the first week I just was working, resting, figuring out like my routine, figuring out like the
Yeah.
gym. So I think you just have to listen to your body. I recommend. And if, as you said, like if it goes out the window, it's not end of the world. Like we still get sick. And if you get sick in a week, that'll change up your routine a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, take it with a pinch of salt and just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep going. Like don't be too hard on yourself.
I think that's an important thing to keep in mind when you're traveling and working. And with traveling and working, so you work for a company. Do the other people you work with, do they work remotely or are they more office based?
Yeah, so my company, only 20% of us are fully remote. Everyone
Oh wow.
else are like hybrids. So I think that hybrid implementation's a big factor. But only 20%. And I work for corporate. When I got the job, I didn't realize I'd be working with the CEO, the chief of marketing officer, the CFO. So it's been amazing being like a great learning curve. I've been the youngest in the team, but everyone else is, for me, it's for the work and travel, but for others, we have a girl called Chantel and she's a new mum. So it's good for her, like the remote work and the flexible hours. So obviously she's
Yeah.
got like a newborn or like an infant. So like she can work, take a break, work, take a break. And at the evening for others is a lot of dog owners. So that's why they want to stay at home because obviously look after their dog. But it's a bit for everyone. Like for me, it's a work and travel, but remote work can be for so many people and different lifestyle. If it's you've got kids, if you've got dogs, if you want to travel, if you just didn't want to commute if you don't want to
Yeah.
commute, I think that's a big factor. But yeah, I'm the only traveler in my company.
Amazing. And did you come across any challenges when you started? Well, I mean, I guess even when you started the job, you were already traveling. In the beginning, did you come across any challenges with working and traveling and being part of a wider team?
I think the challenges was obviously at the start, I was being really hard on myself 'cause I was still learning. I think that's only maybe just a learning curve, but the time zone maybe because we're such an international company. I had one manager based in Germany, Berlin. So the time zone's a bit tricky on his side because it was like a 7 or 8 hours difference. So I would have meetings very early, but I've got to learn like I am a morning person. Like it changes. Like sometimes I'm a late. Like when you first met me, I was kind of like a late owl, but now I prefer the morning. Like I've been waking up really
Yeah.
early, like 6 or 7, starting at work at 8, and then you finish early into it. You can finish at
Yeah.
like 3 p.m., 4 p.m. But I think that's the biggest challenge. Maybe the time zone can be a bit tricky. Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi, yeah. So
That old chestnut.
legit, I was in Medellin and the Selena there, and there was a day that
Oh,
they had a Wi-Fi problem, and it was so funny to see everyone was like crying, complaining, and everyone was having a crisis about the Wi-Fi. And you can imagine such a busy environment where people were relying on Wi-Fi to work. It was just really funny to see. And I was like, what is society now that we need Wi-Fi? But
I
yeah,
know. It's mad.
it's crazy.
It's mad. I had the same issue in Medellin. There was a full day at the Selena where it was just off, and I was like,
But you're
because
frustrated,
normally,
yeah.
yeah, because you get really angry, and then you're like, because then I had needed to speak to myself. I was like, chill out. Like this is a silver lining. Like luckily, it was a day where I wasn't working to a deadline or nothing was super urgent. So I was like, I'm gonna chill out for a bit, and then I'm gonna find another co-working space, and then just relax. But like I've had things like that happen in the past, and when I first started, it would really stress me out. I'd be like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" Ah, la, la,
Yeah,
la. But now I'm like, "It's fine. I'll just have a few hours of chill." And it's like, which is really
I know.
nice.
Or change the
But
setup
it's
and go to a coffee shop.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's so nice, but it is funny when something like that happens and everybody's just like,
Everyone's
"Where's the
miserable.
internet?"
Everyone's
Yeah.
mad, and we're like, it's just Wi-Fi. You get me? Like, it's chill.
Yeah.
But
I know. It makes you realize how much you depend on internet, and then you're like, "Oh gosh."
crazy with the technology. All you need in the
It's
laptop and good
bad.
Wi-Fi, and that's can work in that way. It's crazy to say that.
It is crazy. And what would you say your best travel experience is so far?
My best travel experience, I would say Brazil. I got mad. I loved Brazil because my first travel was Colombia, but I think I was still new to the digital nomad lifestyle that I limit
Yeah.
myself sometimes. Be like, oh, I can't, I'm working. Or like, because one of my benefits with my company is flexible working hours. So we can work our own schedule. So if we have meetings, we have meetings. And if we have a deadline, we have to work. So we just have to provide good results. Um, and be communicative. But Brazil was amazing. I was only meant to be there for 2 months. Fell in love with it. Like the people, the country, the culture, the foods, just the environment. It was just amazing. And I think Rio was my favorite place. Rio, I just fell in love. Obviously, there's a bit misconception. And I do understand, like, obviously, stuff happens on a daily basis. I've heard stories like people getting their phone stolen, whatever. You just have to be self awareness. Um, but that can happen in London. And so London is people like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, and there's people phone snatching in London, broad daylight. So it can happen anywhere. Like anywhere can happen.
Yeah.
But Rio, I love the beaches. I stayed in a Selena there, Copacabana, and that was probably my favorite. And then the staff were friendly. I met a lot of cool people. Um, yeah, I just felt, and the weather was nice. The weather plays a big factor. And I've noticed, like,
Yeah.
on my travels, being in a hot country where the sun's always out, I'm more happier than UK.
Me
Whereas,
too.
like, UK, I'm like, why was I so miserable? But, like, it's just the weather plays a big factor.
It is. It really does. You sort of don't realize until you're away from grey for a while. And you're like, oh, I'm liking this sun. I'm liking this tan I have.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference. I'm definitely like, the weather is my mood.
Oh, for
If it's
sure.
rainy, I'm like, if it's sunny, I'm like, woo, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's crazy how much it can have a big factor, but yeah, Rio was probably my favorite place. Like, I would highly recommend it. I could see myself living there. So, what I do is I one day would love to live like a big city, but like near like the beach, coastal area. So
Oh
that's why
yeah.
I loved Rio. I loved Cartagena. Cartagena was kind of like
Yeah.
that. Um, but yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. And it's good to know as well because it's so useful knowing what works and what doesn't work for you. So you can change your travel to fit you and what's best, which is great. So obviously we met in a Selena co-working space and we're a big
Yeah.
fan of the Selena co-working spaces. But how do you approach like the actual sit down day to day work?
I find like co-working is so important. So I pick selectively where I stay, and Selena's been amazing. I was part of this Selena
Yeah.
co-live program and I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It's such amazing. Like I think I was paying like $13 or $14 a night, and that's including like your room. Obviously, we're like staying in dorms because if you want the cost to be down. So they give you free access to the co-work, 10% off. So I would say like co-work is really important for me to have like a meeting room, good Wi-Fi, and just that environment to get me seeing everyone. I was kind of like when you were going to the library at school, at university, seeing everyone working with their
Yeah.
deadlines. You need that atmosphere into it to stress you and challenge you and work. Having that like,
Yeah.
um, because if you work from like home, sometimes you can be a bit sluggish and bit. Um, but I would do work in coffee shops as well, just depending if we've got meetings or not, because obviously sometimes the Starbucks can be quite noisy.
Yeah.
But I usually like work in a co-work, have a lunch break, and then maybe the late afternoon, evening, go to a coffee shop because I'll just have work to do. And it's quite nice to
Yeah.
change the setup.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like for me, it's so important to change the environment every now and then, which like the Selena co-working was brilliant, but sometimes I find myself getting a bit too comfortable. I was like, oh, I need to like change my environment or go to a cafe just to give myself like another kick that I needed. And especially like when we were in the Kalina in Florianopolis and we had like our little group as well. So we were all chatting away. I absolutely loved that. But then my issue is that I just want to chat.
I know we
And
just
I'm
can chat
no,
for days.
guys, no.
Oh yeah. So I think that's, you just have to be disciplined,
Yes.
yeah, and just figure out like what's good for you. But yeah, no, I like it. Yeah,
What would you say your worst travel experience is so far?
that's the thing. Like I've not had a bad travel experience. Oh well, yeah, I've got like two. So obviously, when I was in Brazil, I did the south. So I went to Rio, São Paulo, and then Florianopolis. Loved it. Did that first because I was doing the Selena Cola, and then I went up to the northeast of Brazil. It's
Mhm.
far. It's far. So I did like Pipa Beach at Natal, and then I did San Luis and went to Lanzóis, and then the big hike was the Amazon. And I was
Amazing.
like, oh my God, the Amazon, like it was really far. And I was hyping myself up. And obviously you saw my social media, I was promoting it a lot. But it was quite disappointing for me, which is such a surprise to say, because the thing is, it was really far. It was expensive, as you can imagine. And I was kind of disappointed. Like, it wasn't my favorite place to go. I'm glad I can say that
Mm.
I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to say that I've been to the Amazon in Brazil,
Yeah.
but it wasn't my favorite. So that was kind of a letdown. But like maybe it was the tour guide I had, but I can't blame the tour guide because he had to make everyone happy into it with like your tours. And I had no bad word to say because he was amazing. I got along with him, but maybe like the scheduling, the routine, the experience wasn't that good for what I paid.
Mm.
So I think that was the disappointing, the Amazon. And then maybe just when you get sick. So like I think when I was in Guatemala, my last location was, so I did um my last location was a lake, Atalan, and I kind of got like not food poison, but like I was drinking the filter water. But a lot of places say don't drink the filter water, but I did, and I got a really bad stomach ache, and like it caused a lot of
Oh,
issues. So I would say maybe that, but I was kind of ready to go home because I was like traveling for 4 months. And when I say home, home's Mexico, but home is Scotland. So a lot of people were getting confused. A lot of people were getting too excited. Like, oh my God, you're coming home. But I'm like, no, home's Mexico,
sorry,
actually.
guys.
Yes. But yeah, my biggest one was probably the Amazon. It was like a
Yeah.
letdown, like just a letdown. Not the great experience I wanted, but I was surprised to say that.
Yeah. Do you think you went in with quite high expectations and maybe looked into what other people had said about it? Because I think it's hard with those big things that you do build up in your mind and you go off what other people say. It's hard to then go into that experience without having any expectations. And it was almost when you do go to these big places, you have to go in with no expectations because it's hard to then really take it for what it is instead of thinking, oh well, so and so said this, or I thought it was gonna be like this. It's so hard not to, yeah,
Compare in a
go
way,
into
I
those,
think
yeah.
people's other experience. Yeah, like I think I did a lot of research on like which company to go with, and I found this one on, where did I find it? TikTok
Gotta be done.
recommendation. Yeah, but yeah, it was just like I had like a lot of high expectations. And maybe like from the movies, Louis of Light always have that Amazon like being such a adventure, danger. I even told my tour guide like put me in danger. I want some excitement. I was like, come
I
on,
want the thrill.
yeah, I want. I was like, let's go, let's get lost, let's try and survive getting back. And he's like, no, babe. He's like,
Not
that's
having.
not happening. But yeah, I think I still need to like finish my stories from that and give my honest opinion on my social media. Just not had the time and day. But yeah, I think it was just the expectations were high for me.
Yeah.
And then I was just let down. Like, it wasn't all cons, like there was like seeing like we saw like a sloth, we saw like a lot of like wildlife like monkeys, but not as I hoped. Um, but yeah, my expectations were was
Mm.
a bit higher than I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's again like something you learn as you go as well, because you'll have those experiences. You'll be like, oh well, I didn't think it was going to be like that, and it's sort of it just yeah, it makes you rethink when you, as you go, like, oh, actually, yeah, I want to go to this place. I'll just sort of see what happens. Or maybe I'll go off the beaten path slightly and not go to, this place that lots of people have been talking about, just so I can sort of form my own opinion before. It's so hard though, because it's like you want to go to these places as well, like, of course. But it's yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because that's definitely happened to me a few times. I go to a place and be like, oh, and then I
Yeah.
feel bad for being like, "Oh," because I'm so happy I'm there, and obviously it's amazing, but I'm just like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, like, you're grateful, but, like, you're like, "Okay, like, I'm here," but, like, just you're a bit disappointed, which is hard, but you try and keep a positive attitude.
Yeah,
I was never,
always.
like, a negative. I wasn't, like, nagging or anything. It was just like, oh, like, taking it in, like, reflecting. I was like it was very chilled, but I think another big factor, like, if anyone is planning to go to the Amazon, the transportation's a bit longer because 2 of the bridges collapsed last
Mm.
year when you're getting there, but they never told you that, so the journey was, like,
Oh,
6 to 8 hours.
yeah, yeah, one of those.
Yeah.
Were you working when you went to the Amazon, or did you have time off?
No, that was my first vacation. I
Yeah.
took, like, 4 days off, 4 or 5 days off. Yeah, because they did have Wi-Fi, which is KMS, like, there wasn't good Wi-Fi, but I couldn't work. I was in the
Yeah,
Amazon, I wouldn't
yeah.
want to work.
No.
And that would be crazy, but no, I would.
I mean, you'd have a great background on your Zoom calls. Just like, "Hi, guys, I'm just in the Amazon."
Yeah.
This whole thing.
Would you, just, like, the way of
Amazing.
life. Yeah.
So off the recording, we were talking about slow versus fast nomading. And when we first met, we were both very much on the slow madding kind of approach. We would spend a few weeks here, we'd spend a few weeks there, really integrate ourselves into the environment. Originally, what caught your attention about slow madding? Why did that work for you?
I just wanted, like, the experience being the local, treating it, like, because it's a lifestyle into it, so you want to there's
Yeah.
people that live a month in each city, but I think 2 weeks was a good rule for me because I felt like if you can't do it in the first week, you have the second week, so that's why my rule was 2 weeks each day. So I started off doing that in Colombia and the south of Brazil, and then when I went to the northeast, I did 1 week each, so, like, bang, bang, bang. And I kinda liked it. I was like, "Okay, 1 week is quite nice." You kinda, like, push yourself. Obviously, you have to be quite disciplined if you're working and traveling a lot, because also it can be quite hard. And I'm not gonna lie, it can be quite exhausting. You can burn yourself
Yeah.
out by doing that. So you just have to watch yourself. So I was kinda mixing. But for me now, after going to Guatemala, after Brazil, I met a new friend called Romy, and she was doing 6 weeks in Guatemala, and she was doing fast traveling. And I understood her. I was like, oh, I prefer that. Like, kind of like this fast traveling. And I'm grateful now. I'm a bit different to a nomad. My boyfriend's from Mexico. He's Mexican. So he's my home base here. So now I treat him as like my slow travel. So I'll come and
Mm.
go, and I don't want to be too far from him. So like, I think 4 months was not anticipated and a bit too long.
Yeah.
Like we're both missing each other, but I think that plays a factor to my relationship. Because I'm doing a bit long distance, but then just like trying to see everything. Like I'm not like a proper like traveler. Like it's going to be like 2 or 3 days each moving. I think my rule would be
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a week. Yeah,
Yeah.
a week. And I think that's good with your work, your traveling, and with my flexible hours. So if your company, if your job offers flexible hours, you can play around with. But if it's not, it might be a bit challenging if you have to work from like 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 in a set
Yeah.
hour. But yeah, I really like our perspective was really similar with the slow travel.
Mm.
Like I can still do it. Like it's not off the picture. I can still go back to it. But I think for my next turnout, because I'm in Mexico up until Christmas, going back to the UK for a bit just to see family and friends, sort some stuff out. And then my plan is to do Costa Rica next year. And as you said, like
Yeah.
I know it's expensive and I was planning to do a month, but it would be really nice to hear your like perspective, your advice in 2 weeks. So then maybe I'll do the fast traveling then and go see different places. And then I kind of want to do Guatemala again, but fast traveling. But like, I didn't see all of it. So I still want to go to
Yeah.
Flores, El Parador, Belize. And then something exciting I realized with myself, I won't be a nomad in the US for a bit. So
Oh,
yes.
God.
So like California, because it would be a dream to move there one day. So I kind of want to see, like, maybe go for like a month in the US, go see like LA, San Fran, San Diego. I met a lot of good friends during my travel who live in New York, so I could go there for like days.
Amazing.
And then, yeah, just see if like US is for me because I met another friend in Guatemala and his name's Jesse and he's Mexican but was born and raised in the US and he was just hyping me up. He's like, such good vibes. I know it's quite, I think all countries have their pros and cons with political or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
society. And obviously the US has a big opinion by other people, but yeah, I think I want the American dream, you know? But I want the American dream. So cliche, but yeah. Uh,
But I mean, I think that's a great thing about being a digital nomad is that you can just like pop over to a new country and try it on for size and see like,
yeah,
okay, actually, yeah, I really like this. I want to spend more time here. Oh, actually, no, I'm not really a fan. I'll just hop on to the next country. Like that's like why it's so amazing is that you can do that and you can still work while you're doing it and you can still figure it out. And it's just, yeah, it's an amazing thing that you can be like, oh, maybe next year I'll go here or well, maybe I'll go here. It's just
yeah,
like, it's just the best thing. It's, yeah, we're very lucky that we're able to do it and pick a
yes.
place and go.
Yeah, like I'm grateful and like lucky this is my life. And I think a lot of my family and friends see it and they're just like, I've been asked like, what do you do for work? How are you doing this?
Yeah.
Um, and then my family are very supportive. My mom and dad have a different perspective, being both like Asian parents living. My dad's from Hong Kong and mom's Malaysian. So they've been brought up to be like work, 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 save, 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 and then enjoy life. Whereas we're doing it at the same time, or like vice
Yeah.
versa. But yeah, I think just generations different, and yeah, I love it.
And do you find that you do have to sort of have that conversation a lot with people? It's like, oh, I'm a digital nomad. And they're like, what? Like, and with your parents as well, do you find that it's never been as big as it is, but it's still quite a niche thing? Do you find that you do have to explain it to a lot of people?
I think on my travels, it's been everyone knows the term and if you're traveling, like travelers. And so interestingly, I've been one of the youngest nomads, digital nomad
Yeah.
traveling. So I was like, oh, wow, like not everyone's saying everyone's much older, just everyone's like a couple of years older. But yeah, it was really surprising. And I would love to showcase this lifestyle to others and being like, this is another path. Like I know everyone's from
100%.
university, we've been taught to like get an office job, get a corporate job, or stay at home, or like don't take risk or like challenges. And that's why like UK is amazing. I think we have like really good politics in a way with like the NHS, public service, education, like benefits, like, but like, I just wanted that excitement, the change. But yeah, back home, I had to teach a lot of people what it meant, like the work and travel. Because when I told my mom and dad, and they're like, it's just a holiday. Like, you're just going on a holiday. And I'm like, no, it's a lifestyle. Like, I'll be working and traveling. My dad's like, holiday. And
That's
yeah,
the thing. It is a lifestyle and it is like, yeah, it's a way of life
yeah.
that I think you're not really gonna fully understand until you dip your toe and you figure out actually how it works. And it's not always rainbows and sunshines. It's a lot of challenges and bad days as well. It's yeah, still amazing. And it's one of the best things ever as well.
So like, if we stayed in the UK, we'll probably be paying twice the amount of what we're paying now on rent, bills and that. Like for like a dorm per month, we could probably pay like £300 or £400. Whereas like
Yeah.
London, let's not get into that, but like you can imagine.
Yeah.
And so like
Yeah.
you have to think it that way. And also I gotta admit, like, I'm still figuring out the budget situation with finance and like how to be a better like with my spending, but I think I'm still figuring out in that sense. But like price comparison, like the cost of living and like we were living in Mexico or Colombia, and the cost of living in
Yeah.
Colombia was probably the cheapest place I've been in Latin America, but yeah, you could price compare it and like you can have that argument with others saying like, well, I'm paying this, whereas you're paying this in the UK, whereas I'm like traveling, meet people, like, bring
Yeah.
something new. So I think the
Yeah,
cost is
that's
a
the
big
thing.
factor. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, for me, I used to live in London and the rent was ridiculous. And
Yeah.
I lived with someone then and it was still ridiculous. So like now I've been priced out of London. I can't afford to live there by myself now. And it's like, and I don't know if I want to do it anymore because I feel like I've done it, but like, it's amazing that really I can live anywhere and it's, well, depends where you go, but it's cheaper and it's down to me now and I have more choice. And it really is that the experience as well.
Yeah.
Like you may not be making as much money or if you work directly in London or whatever, but it's for me, it's the experience is like the priority for me at the moment. And like you said, everything else you sort of just figure out as you go. So like you just mentioned you don't really have a sort of a set budget at the moment.
Yeah.
When I first started, I had an idea of what I wanted to spend each week. But again, that changed depending on country. It depended on how many clients I had, depended on what I was aiming to save that month. Like so many other factors come into it. I think as long as you're sort of aware and you're happy with how it's going, you're not doing anything
Yeah.
crazy, I think it's fine as well. But yeah, that's an interesting thing to talk about as well, because I think a lot of people, when they are digital nomads, had that question. It's like, oh, how do you budget for it? And I think it's dependent on the person and their goals and their aims of what they want to achieve from that.
Yeah, for sure. Like their earnings, their goals, what they want to save. And I think the misconception back home, people think you're just spending money like nonstop, but then you're like, I'll be spending that back in like Glasgow, Scotland, or like London. And you're like, it's just to save. It's just where you are into in the world. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's a big factor. But yeah, I want that like digital nomad lifestyle to be more normalized and showcase everyone like there's this option as a career or like lifestyle. So yeah, go for it. And everyone wants to travel now. See, after the
Yeah.
pandemic, everyone's got the travel bug and everyone's just been
Yeah.
saving and then spending, then going
Yeah.
back saving. So I'm like, why not just do both? And you can't do both at the same time.
It does feel, again, depends on the person and their situation, of course, but it does feel a lot more accessible. And I think it's great as well that you mentioned that lots of people have said to you that you're like the youngest digital nomad they've met so far.
Yeah.
Because when I met you and I met Neve, I was like, what? You're so
Yeah.
young. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, only a few years younger than me. Let's not get
Yeah. Just a
crazy.
couple years. Don't worry. It's just,
Simply twin. But yeah, I was like, oh my God, that's so cool because I think when I came out of uni, I would have thought that was an option for me. I thought, oh, well, I'll have to go to the city and I'll have to work in this agency, even though it was almost always my dream to
yeah.
travel and work. That's all I've ever wanted to do. It didn't feel accessible. So it was really cool meeting you and Eve. And especially you just said, oh yeah, like left uni. I was like, essentially, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure it out. And it's worked out so well. And I think it's an important thing, even if you do take the approach of slow and steady, you work full time for a company and then you change it to part time and you're working on something on the side and then you gradually go into it versus like throwing yourself, taking that leap of faith and it being a bit more risky. I think both of them, it's having faith in yourself and
Yeah.
like having the confidence in yourself to do it, because either way, it doesn't matter what way you do it, it is a change in lifestyle. And that's a big thing from, doing your 9 to 5 every day for the last 15 years to really switching it up. It's like, it's a big thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's whatever way you approach being a digital nomad, it could be, yeah, like you've just started your own agency and you being a digital nomad is going to the next town over in the UK, like whatever it is. I think everybody sort of deserves a pat on the back for it because it is still a change. It's a big change that you have to adapt to as well.
Yeah. Just like don't give up and like have
Yeah.
yourself like really like when that time from August up until December, I'm not going to be cocky, but I had a lot of opportunities. Like I was born and raised from Glasgow, so we have a lot of like offices, headquarters in Glasgow. I got offered like like a lot of good jobs, but like I just turned them down. My family were like, what you want, what you doing? Like, do you not want to just try it? And like, I was like, no, because I won't be happy. Like, I know myself. Like, I don't want to commute myself, work in the office and be miserable and be in a place that I won't be happy. So like, you have to just know what you want and work hard for it.
Yeah.
I researched nonstop for like the remote jobs, and it was really competitive. Get people's advice, working on your resume or CV. That's so important as someone who's doing like hiring, onboarding, and recruitment in a way. Making sure your like resume and CV is on point. Like if you want something, work hard for it, and like even create some goal. As I said, a vision board. I have a vision board. You've seen it on my laptop, my phone, and it's all came true this year. And this is just the space of the year.
So good.
Yeah, only two places I didn't manage to go was Argentina and Peru. But it's just because when you go to the south, it was the winter time. Remember, it was
Yeah.
the winter time, and then I didn't want to go further down. I was like, I don't need to do it all in 1 year. Like, if I don't
No.
accomplish it, it's fine. Like, that's okay. But that's the only two in my vision board that I've not really visited. Um, and then with the social media, I'm working on that right now. I think that's a goal right now. So, like TikTok, Instagram, I think with my stories, it was really good. I think I'm on point with my Instagram stories. It's just more the videography. I've not really had the time to sit down and work on. That's soon to be coming.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
I think that it just proves though, like in anything, like it does, it's not just for being a digital nomad, but as long as you have a clear vision, you have an idea of where you want to go with it, you have your goals. And not you don't even have to have the clearest of goals. It's just an idea essentially. And you put in the hard work, 9 times out of 10, it will work out or it will go down a different route you weren't expecting
Yeah.
and it will be better than you thought. But it is just putting the time in as well. Like when I first started, I sort of just went for it, didn't really think it through. And then yeah, I look back at where I started, where I am now, and like I didn't put too much pressure on anything, the business or anything. I was just like, I'm just gonna enjoy it and see what happens. And again, like almost not having that many expectations has helped me out because everything is a bonus then. It's all a learning, even if it's like shitty, it's a learning. Like it's sort of how you look at it. And I think that's really like a great thing that you have that vision board and you're just working to it. And then these things do just happen. And then that day you're like, oh shit, like I've practically done all of this. It's really nice to look back at that and see how far you've come.
Yeah. And like, don't limit yourself with opportunities. Like, with my title, it's so different so when I first got the job, it was a partner program coordinator, and now I'm a corporate operations coordinator, which makes so much sense. My responsibilities has grown. I've got more like empowerment, more independence, and yeah, I love what I do. Like, I love what I do. As someone who studied business and HR, now I'm doing about everything. So I do like data research. I do some social media posts, like creating content. I do the onboarding training. So the HR side being a support mechanism for people. And that's something I love, like valuing people and like making sure like they're welcomed and feel supported in the company,
Yeah.
like the way everyone should. And my boss, I agree with her and I love what she says. She doesn't want anyone to feel like a number in the company. So I feel like that's such valuable. But if someone wants to go in this lifestyle, don't limit yourself. Just go for it, apply, and yeah, just network. I think networking is really important, as you can imagine. Having that conversations, if it's a startup company you want to work for, corporate, or as you say, having your own agency, own company, you'll figure out and you'll find your niche and what makes you happy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's just the best, like I love doing this podcast because I just talk to so many different types of people, like all working on different things, but we all sort of feel the same way to being a digital nomad. It's great, and there's lots of challenges as well. It's not always 100%, but it's the we just love it.
Yeah, I just love it. Like,
It is just a way of life, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, I want to
Mm.
push for
And what would you say you love most about being a digital nomad?
the flexibility. Like flexibility, I love like even my manager saying like if in the morning I want to go to the gym and work in the like afternoon, they're happy with that as long as I provide results. But I find the flexibility, working your own schedule. Obviously, every day is like different. So like some stuff like you might have to run errands, you want to go gym, you may have
Yeah.
like family things, but just working your own schedule. I think the flexibility and with my company, obviously I can work anywhere in the world. And I think that was so important, like for me, like being able to not limit myself in like one place. Because some UK companies offer you remote work, but within the UK, which is
Yeah.
kind of hard because obviously you can't leave into it. You can't leave in a way. So I didn't want anything to limit myself. But yeah, the flexibility, I would say, is a huge thing.
Definitely. It's all about the freedom, isn't it? Just to be able to do what you want when you want. It's such a
Yeah,
big benefit. And do you have any advice for a budding digital nomad?
just don't give up. Like, don't give up. It is like a hard market right now. As you can imagine, remote work is so competitive now. Like, I am grateful to be where I am, but there's not that many remote jobs because obviously companies are still figuring out what's best for them. Hybrids, 4-day work week, in person, remote. So I think there's like that misconception of some corporates want everyone to come back in the office and stuff. But I would say don't give up. Like you'll have the
Yeah.
ups and downs. I highly recommend people networking, like reach out to other people, get advice, how they've done it. But for me, it's just not giving up and just working hard for what
Yeah.
you want.
I think that's such a good piece of information is if you really want it, you'll find a way for
Yeah.
it to happen, essentially.
Because you'll get so many
Definitely.
pies coming through you, like left,
Yeah.
right, and center. People like you'll get that rejection email. Like it's normal. Like I've had loads. Everyone has loads. You'll get them, but like don't be. It's not a you thing. It's just what the company's looking for. So don't be too hard on
Yeah.
yourself if you get rejected by a company.
What's next for you? Like, where are you planning on going? Like, give us a bit more information about your
Yeah, of
Instagram.
course. So right now, I've been in Mexico for like 3 weeks. It was just settling down. My boyfriend's just moved into his new flat, so we're just doing
Oh,
IT hauls.
lovely.
Yeah, you can imagine making
Love
it homies.
it.
And after I'm living here, so like I like to like contribute and make it like homey as much as possible. It's really important
Yeah.
environment where you want to like live. So doing that, and then I'm figuring out I've created like a schedule of like my content creation. So you'll be seeing more videography on like Instagram, TikTok, something I've been wanting
Nice.
to work on. It's just been hard because I was still figuring out during my travels how to like figure out because you're like working, you're traveling, you're meeting people. I can film the content, but editing, like I just didn't have enough time in the day for that.
Yeah.
Do I want to spend an hour editing a video or be like experienced result when I'm there for a limited time? So I think right now I'm going to be doing more, talking more in my videos. I think that was a lot of advice from people, but I think so. Social media is one thing, and then I'm planning to go back to the UK in December because I wouldn't miss Christmas with my family. Like that's such a big
Yeah.
family thing, and I've been away for nearly a full year, which is fluid.
Yeah, which is mad.
Nearly a full year of just like not in UK. So I'll be going there, see family and friends, sort some admin stuff. So I
Yeah.
think US and Costa Rica will be for next year thing. Um,
Yeah, amazing.
and just continue this lifestyle. Like I
Yeah.
love it. And like we can pick and choose, like our decision is not settled. We can always change. Yeah, I think just continue this lifestyle and figure out my niche. Yeah.
And just a quick one, when it comes to spending so much time in Mexico, how does it work? Do you have to get a specific visa? Do you have like 3 months that you can play with without having a visa?
Yeah. So we're lucky with like, this is a UK passport, me just speaking, but we can be in Mexico up to 6 months. It's crazy. Yeah, it's not
Oh my
3
God,
months, 6 months.
wow.
And I've been in Mexico a lot in and out, and they've changed. Before you would have to sign like an immigration form. Now they've scrapped that. All you have to show is your passport, they stamp it, you tell how long you're going to be here, and they just sign it. For me, I told immigration officer like I'm going to be here for 4 months. She was shocked. She was like, "Oh, this is long," but she gave me 4 months up until end of December. So yeah,
Ah,
you can be up to 6 months in Mexico, which is amazing. It's not three
that's
months.
ideal for you.
Yeah, so like when
That's
you come and
amazing.
go, when I like leave, I don't know the statistics, but when I leave, it restarts. And I think you
Yeah.
have to be away for like at least a month or something, but I'm always traveling for at least a month. And then you come back and it just restarts.
Oh, that's great. That's really good to know, actually, because Mexico is definitely on my list.
Yeah. And
And
Mexico's
I mean, there's so
huge.
much to do that.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the
so much.
thing.
It's huge. Like, I think someone reached out to me saying they're going to do 3 weeks, but where about Latin America? And I was like, you have to like, it's huge. Like 3 weeks is nothing. Like, you just want to focus on Mexico, Central, the South. Like, you just have
Yeah.
to be strategic because it's a lot traveling, but Mexico's great. And like the bus system's really good. They have ADO bus and it's quite clean, quite nice. So they've got a really good bus system. Or they have like it's like an Uber, but it's called BlaBla cars. And some people like maybe like someone who's driving from Mexico City to Veracruz and who wants to make some money because they're going that route. He'll offer like a service like, oh, you can pay me like 200 pesos for like to join me in the car, right? So there's a lot of
Oh,
things
that's
to
really
offer.
cool.
Yeah,
Oh my God, I'll definitely be reaching out when Mexico's on my list
of
then. I'll be like, give
course.
me all the right recommendations,
Yeah,
Leon.
of course. And even the route, like if you want to go to like the coastal, like Cancun, Playa, Tulum, or you want to be more central, or like the north or the south, there's so much to offer.
Yeah. Oh, so exciting. Well,
Yeah,
amazing. We are now at the last question, the big question.
of course.
Can you really have it all, Leon? Can you have a balance of business and pleasure?
Business and pleasure. I would say, yeah. Like, if you have, like, you can do it all. Like, that's my biggest advice. You can do it all. You just have to work hard, be disciplined. It's really important if you want to try this lifestyle, work and travel, we have a routine, be disciplined when to work. Because if not, you're going to lose your job and if you're just going to have pleasure the full time. Mm.
Mm.
So, yeah, I would say you can just have like a good routine, um, good scheduling, be disciplined with yourself, do a lot of research and do a lot of research what you want to do. Don't just go there and be like I'm a bit lost. But yeah, no, I say you can. Don't give up. You can have it all.
Yeah. And would you say that you have that balance? Do you
The
currently
balance.
have a balance of business and pleasure?
Yeah. No, I was like thinking to myself, I was like,
Making me think.
yeah, I was like, do I? I would say, yeah, like I think the first couple of weeks here was being like just spending time with my boyfriend, doing the relationship stuff,
Yeah.
but then coming back to like reality, what I want to achieve. You have to be a bit selfish in that way into it,
Yeah.
of like your own goals. So I'm getting back on that. But yeah, I would say I would have a good balance, like work. Sometimes I think working right now, because we're going into the end of Q3, going into Q4 has been work's been a bit stressful, but good stress, good stress. I have a really good team, but yeah, you can
Yeah.
have it all. You can have it all. If you work hard and you know what you want and have set goals, I highly recommend do like the start of next year, everyone like create your goals, create a vision board, use Canva, Pinterest, and have that vision.
Yeah.
I know you manifest it.
Amazing.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dion. I'll make sure to include all of your links in the show notes.
Mhm.
Thank you to everybody for listening, and we'll see you again very soon.